Hello and welcome, take two. I will be building a basic RAG pipeline to answer questions based on a small custom knowledge base in this assignment, with the goal being to gain practical experience with RAG, or Retrieval Augmented Generation. That's a key technique used to ground large language models in external factual knowledge. Um, I will be, to begin, creating a short document, which I already have, and I'll be sharing that with you in a moment, which is essentially 2 to 3 paragraphs on a very specific topic. The topic I chose was vegan baking and tips with that. Um, and for the embedding model, I decided to go with all-mini LM-L6 v2, which converts text chunks and user query into 384 dimensional dense vector embeddings. It's highly efficient, fast, and lightweight. Um, it's a transformer model from the Hugging Face libraries and very suitable for local deployment. And for the generation LLM, I used simulated LLM, which retrieves the augmented prop, the query, and the context, and synthesizes the final coherent answer. The behavior is simulated to replicate the instruction uh, capability of models like GPT-4 or fine-tuned Llama or T5 models. I've already chunked the data about the cookies into 3 different chunks, and let's take a look at what we got here. So the first thing I have to do is get the sentence transformers from the scikit-learn library here in Jupyter Notebook. We'll set up the knowledge base as I was just discussing. We're going to need that NumPy library, transformers, scikit-learn, and here is the knowledge base itself. Um, the first one chunk is about core ingredient swaps. Um, and it uh, involves, as you can see, primarily replacing animal products with plant-based products while maintaining the desired texture and flavor. The most common butter and eggs for butter, it's like coconut oil, vegan butter sticks, or shortening. One-to-one substitutes, which is true. I do this all the time. Contributing richness. With eggs, they have, uh, oh, I guess that is for eggs, is what it's saying. I don't, it's kind of true though. Um, and there's also flax. I'm not big into the flax. I need to learn about it, but this is actually good stuff. Mashed banana, that's a crazy one. I like applesauce, but that's not in here, but that's okay. That's free. We don't need to do that. So that's the first chunk. The next is perfect texture. So the key to the texture often lies in the fat to flour ratio and the baking time. So for a chewer one, use more moist ingredients like brown sugar instead of white, which is so true if you've ever had cookies that crumble. Um, and then slightly underbake them. You just leave it in there at a lower temperature and just let it kind of cook on its own and chilling the dough. Ooh, so yeah, this hit hard for me. And if you don't know, now you know. Um, yeah, so that essentially goes more into that. And then uh, some of the flavor enhancements and common pitfalls. Um, consider using vanilla bean paste instead of extract for richer taste, which is whoa. Pinch of salt to balance the sweetness. A common misfall is from over mixing the dough. Yep, yep. Especially after adding the flour. You don't want to develop the gluten there. And so, yeah, just some really good information there. Um, and, we'll use the Panda data frame to create that all and do something called the chunks there. Get a model or a warning, don't have to worry about that. So we load the model and generate the embeddings. Uh, that's using, as you can see, the transformer model I had mentioned earlier. Um, generate the embeddings for all the knowledge-based chunks. And we got, don't worry about that stuff. We don't have to talk about that. So here we have the embeddings generated for chunks three chunks, and the dimensions 384. Defining the functions for retrieval and prompt construction using the generate answer function and a simulated LLM as we discussed earlier, which uses logic to provide expected answers for test cases. And def retrieve context is, which we're about to see in action, takes a query, embeds it, and calculates similarity, and returns top relevant chunks. So here's the first one, retrieve context. Put the top K indices there. Retrieve the context chunks. And then we use the generate answer function to construct the final prompt and simulate LLM response behavior. And in a real scenario, you would send this to an API or loaded LLM, but local yokel. So here you have the prompt template. And here is a simulation of how a well-trained LLM. I can't answer. Or here are some, examples. We're really training this thing to not just, give it information, but give it good answers or templates for good answers. We're going to test what we've done now by running 3 test cases using functions from earlier. So we'll start with factuality. We're going to ask it, what are the common substitutes for eggs and butter in vegan baking? And we have the retrieve context here. And it generated very fast, but here's also the prompt for it too. You're an expert, use only the provided context. If the context doesn't answer, say you can't answer. So here's the context that it's going on. And then we're asking, what are the common substitutions? And the answer is the most common swaps for butter and are eggs. Butter can be substituted with coconut oil, vegan butter sticks, exactly. Number 2 is the FOIL, or general test, which is to ask it questions which aren't in the knowledge base, but which it should be able to rely on general knowledge or just say it doesn't know, as opposed to hallucinate or give faulty information. So what is the history of the chocolate chip cookie? We did not cover that. And then the answer here is that I cannot answer the question based on the information provided. Almost done here. I know I'm getting close to the 8-minute mark. Last one is the synthesis, which requires it to combine information from multiple retrieved chunks. So I want to make a thick, chewy cookie. What ingredients and technique should I use? So now we have these 2 chunks for synthesis as opposed to just the one. And let's see what it does here. Final answer. The key to doing this is a fat substitute, an egg replacement, and then underbake the cookies. And that is a great answer. Some of you should take note. So yes, hope you have enjoyed this assignment, going through it all with me. I will be posting the GitHub repo if you want to check out the notebook yourself. Thanks.